What's up, legends? Welcome to Blindside's round 20 buy, hold, and sell breakdown. It's a run home, boys. But before I dive into it, I've got two things to say. Kenty, welcome back from your holiday. It was sad not having you here. We never thought you were going to return, but it's good to see you. And I think a congratulations is in order for Browny. He toppled the king. For 1 week, he is now first place in the league. Massive 800-point score. He's pulling it out of the bag. And now we're up to the best phase of the season. He's got the lead. And now I want to retract my statement because Brownie's putting imaginary crowns on his head. So I'll take that crown back after this week. But Brownie, you killed it. You're killing it, bro. Pod plays are going so well. Giving me a challenge. Hopefully you'll turn up soon, Kenty.
Yeah, maybe if my 4 trades this week come off.
Yeah, true. Moving into kind of where we're all sitting this week, guys, and what we're looking to do. I'm 2 trading at the moment. I'm never really locked in until kickoff, but Eero and Sharp to Wishart and Keon is probably the plays I'm going to make, and I pretty much now just have to target keepers as they rise in prominence, really. Like as soon as break-evens kind of start to level out, prices are right, can drag people in, and just keep doing that for the rest of the year. But I'll start with you, Kenty. What are your plays this week?
Oh man, I've been shooting from the hip like an absolute cowboy, figuring out what on earth I can do and trying to look at some pod plays. Hopefully some players that are a little bit cheaper do the same job as some other kind of, big scorers. So yeah, looking at definitely Haas. He's number 1 in my team. I just can't pass up 746k Haas. Can't pass it up. He's got to be my team 100%. Wishy is my cash out. I've looked into Hayward, but I would rather have a cash out that is going to also score, much higher and then hopefully make 150 plus K. And then the other 2, I am just trying to look at anything I can do to jump aboard pod train. I'm really undecided about those 2. Pretty sure I'm just going full noise. I'm sick of going slow, disintegrating down the ranks. So even if I kind of raise myself and get to kind of 7k and then I run out of trades, it is what it is.
It's kind of like die a slow death or just go balls to the wall and see what happens. But I would strongly encourage you to consider Britton Nickera. What about you, Brownie? Where are you sitting, bro, this week with your trades? I need to know so that I can play a stronger play every week.
Well, you don't have to be nervous. It's okay.
Nice.
Probably just going to ditch Horse to Haas. Pretty simple trade there for less than 100k. And I'm looking at pulling the Sharp to Wishart possibly. It's just the fact that it's going to be pretty tight down the end, like if Storm are going to be in or out of contention. Because if they're still in contention, Munster will come back. And then we know Cleary's going to have the rest. So it's like we need the halves in case of anything that happens. Ideally, if Storm do fall out of contention, then if you pick up Wishart, he's going to be there for the rest of the season. Probably one of the most viable picks this week, but it's also, he's not like a straight base cash out either.
Yeah.
So you just got to weigh that up as well. But yeah, I'm thinking of those 2 moves.
Let's move into Kenty's market move strategy now. Forgive me, Kenty, if you're a bit off the pace because you've had a week out of the picture. But what's your take on at least what you're seeing this week? Like where you're seeing people move or what you're seeing in trade advice? Like what are you seeing with the landscape this round?
Yep. So people are one of two positions, like me, languishing way down. And so I'm trying to send it pretty big this week. And I think if you are in the same shoes that I'm in, be really strategic and very careful about the players that you bring in. So in other words, ones that you know that you can keep for the rest of the season, because we're just not going to have the trades to be able to kind of chop and change. And then also players that are likely. So I'm going for trade outs that are likely to play and not just become a red dot for the last, 6 rounds and only play for maybe 2 rounds. So Wishart for me is an awesome trade out because he's likely to play 4 to 6 weeks. Then he might just be a red dot for 2 rounds or whatever it looks like. So I'm kind of going from that perspective. So going for key players that can score well, that can hopefully make some money, punch above their weight. However, if you are like Browny and Jay, and in a much more respectable position on the ladder. I would be being a little bit cautious about going gung-ho and spending a whole lot of trades. So I'd be looking 1 to 2 trades, set yourself up for the run home, and then look to kind of have 6 trades up your sleeve for the rest of the season, whether that is like a must-have or it's, injury cover. That's what I'd be doing if I was in your guys' shoes, which I don't have the luxury of being.
Well, to be honest, you nailed it. Even though you're not in the position, you nailed it. That's the plays I'm making now. It's like, yes, I have 300K in the bank that I could have spent and gotten all these guys, but now all of a sudden I have no room to search next week or the week after.
Yeah.
Or the week after, like I'm waiting for something. So my goal was that if I bring in a wishy who has all the potential in the world to be essentially the run home to Murray Martin, I'm going to put that cash in the bank early now. And he could eventually be a late season final trade as like bait later on in the year if worst case scenario happens, but it allows me to keep my money long. So now I'm up to like, 409K in the bank. And then next week, I'm just going to basically just pot check, just go bang, bang, bang. So you definitely nailed both strategies there.
I think to have 6 trades on the run home is going to be a massive luxury.
Yeah.
I can't see that happening for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to have maybe 4 remaining just for like emergencies and injuries and late season trades. But hit the nail on the head for sure. Like that's the strategy you have to have.
Sick. Well done, Kenty. Week out of the game, nothing changed. Still the strap king. And let's move into the guts, boys. Buys first. Now, let's get this one out of the way. It is the most simple buy ever in fantasy history. Payne Haas. 746K. You won't see it any cheaper. Scored an 80-odd. I think it might have been 83 in round 17, then had the 2 weeks off. He's got post-origin form. Broncos are going to be pushing for the top 8. He's going to be the man to stand up. In my opinion, it's the must-have of the week. You can't not have him. It's same as Cleary. Like people out there right now trying to get Cleary back in that sold him over Origin. It's like you never should have sold him. These guys, you need them straight away and early as the run home hits. So for me, Haas is simple. I'm not going to break it down stat-wise like we've seen enough. Buy him.
And I think the other thing too that just from a stat perspective is he's been playing more 80-minute games or close to it this season than we've seen for a while. He hasn't actually played that many games, so he's still fresh as 11 games this season, including Origin.
Wow!
So the guy is super fresh. I do think that he's got the opportunity of absolutely gunning it and smashing it, putting up some big scores, particularly because Broncos are going to need him to as well.
Looks like all that injury issue with the AC joints in the past 2 now as well.
I don't see Broncos being in contention after this week. Penrith are on their revenge drive after last season when Broncos knocked him out. I think Penrith are going to do an absolute number on them. Looking forward to the rest of the season, I don't think Haas is going to be managed because it's his last season at the Broncos. I don't think Madge has any reason to be cautious about his minutes or anything like that. I'm not going to go as far to say that he's going to continue playing 80 minutes because Carrigan's back from injury. But I still think a 65, 70-minute role is probably the best case scenario. Look, it's Payne Haas, like the must-have this week. Absolutely.
Fully agree. And the thing is, the reason why we were a little bit concerned about him at the start when we did the whole sell Haas, get Brayley, get 12 thing, like round 6, round 5, that was because of the injuries that I think it was his back and his shoulder. Seeing him play this 65-minute role where he's typically like a 1.2 ppm, but he's shooting at like a 0.83 ppm. But that's all in the past now. So even at 65 minutes, you're highly likely to see 2025 version of Payne Haas the entire run home. Like it would not surprise me if Payne Haas manages to hit $1 million before the end of the season. I think he is going to be on an absolute tear every single week.
Even the fantasy app, when it got released, said all aboard the Payne train. Like,
yeah, I know. I couldn't believe that. I was like, whoa.
Massive indicator. Like,
yeah. I'm not buying him now. Fantasy told me to.
I'm going to boycott him. Stop it.
He's in a void. Just kidding. The next guy, guys, Hamoli Olakawatu. Now, I was lucky enough to get on last week. He didn't really produce. He didn't really produce what I thought he would. But a 62 with such a lackluster start to the game, I thought ended up being pretty good. And they've got the Titans this week. So I'm all in on him. If I was in a coach's shoes this week, I'd probably be umming and ahhing as to whether or not I go Lucas or Homoli or Lakawatu. But Homoli's got the easier draw, so it seems like a slam dunk. Well, starting with you, Brownie, what are your thoughts there on Holy Moly?
It was my hardest decision last week to go Lucas or Mole. And in hindsight, probably should have gone Lucas, but it's that round 27 bye that's really putting me off. Because if people are low on trades and they already have Ponga, they have Lucas, they got Hopwood, for example, if they got him for like as a cash out last week, you're going to be left with some hard guys to leave out. And if you got no trades left, or if you got one trade left, then you got to trade one of them and leave the other and use the other as a loop. But you got to have trades. That's the thing.
Yeah, you got to have trades.
So I was looking at that round 22 bye and I'm like, it's early enough. I'm just going to do it. But what's funny, last week, I was watching the game live. For the opening 20 minutes, I kept saying, I'm like, can you please do something? Like, please do something to justify this for me. Because he just seemed uninterested, or I'm going to go as far to say lazy at times. On the other scale, Lucas was involved 100% the whole game. But he got that try. He got those tackle breaks. He literally reminds me of Haaland from Norway. The World Cup. He just kind of like goes along and then he'll like just inject himself quickly. And you're like, okay, there's some mole. So I don't know. I saw the bit of a shoulder strapping as well. Might have been Blues camp or something like that. But I don't think you can go wrong with either.
What about you, Kenty? Anything to add to Schmoley?
Yeah, no, I do think if that's him playing lazy, and I agree with you, when I watched some of the highlights, he did look quite lazy. He just looked gassed, and it does make me wonder how much it has taken it out of him, in the fight to make the Origin team. He was someone who I was almost calling ahead of time that, how we watch some of the guns, they come into Origin, and then you think, man, I can't wait for them to get through Origin. I'm going to buy them back end. They're going to be killer. And then they kind of fall off a cliff. And it's either fall off a cliff or do the slow decline. And I was starting to really worry because I also went for Olakau'atu over Lucas last week. And I was like, no, this is the slow decline. And at one point, it actually looked like it was just straight off a cliff. And so luckily he kind of, boosted his score again. They've come off back-to-back losses now. So he's hoping that they really gun it and push hard again, because they are slowly, falling back down the ladder again. So, he's hoping.
I think the way I look at Homoli now is it's basically like 2-3 years ago, David Fafita. He's someone that doesn't really defend all that much, but when he scores in bunches. He can offload, tackle bust, line break assists, score tries, and he's playing outside Turbo and Fogs now. So it's like, it's only a matter of time before he is the recipient of a massive fantasy score. And who better than against the Titans when they need a win? So I think he's solid.
I got him as a captain this week, possibly.
Yeah, cool.
Like the recipe's there. He just needs to start cooking. Molly roll.
Molly roll. Oh, nice. Well, let's go into the final bye, boys. Keon Kaloamatangi. I'm a bit late to the party here. Brownie, you've been on him for a bit. I was going to buy in last week, and then I was scared at the news, the false news, reporting him as re-injuring the PCL. And I thought, I just want to wait until I see it, but I also want to captain Homoli. So by trading in Homoli and whacking the C on him, I gave myself no chance to even get Keon back. But there's no strapping on the knee. He played brilliantly again. I think the only red flag sitting in front of him now is round 23, Sean Kepi. But by that time, there's nothing to suggest that his output will decline. If anything, he might see like a 5 to 10 point drop, but still very much be a season keeper. So right now you're getting him at the cheapest possible price, presuming fitness and form stay normal.
So I got him when it was about 560. Obviously, he played the whole game without strapping. There was kind of like little indicators there where I was like, is he 100%? But he was back to his usual, like, not massive tackle breaks, ran for over 200 meters, made his tackles. But again, we didn't get a full game indicator of the minutes low distribution because Aiken left real early and Murray even had to play a lot of the game at edge, which obviously lowered Murray's score. I'm hoping this is the week where we kind of get a good indicator of his proper minutes moving forward. And even when Kepi comes back, I'm not sure how that's going to transpire, but it's not going to result in a massive fluctuation of his minutes. So yeah, he's still a surefire buy. It's just I want to see the minute outlay in a full game with no injuries. And with the
Yeah,
Rabbits, that seems impossible.
I fully agree with you because I think what's likely to happen with Kepi return is that we're going to see whatever middle replacement is currently on the bench is just going to make way and not much will change. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
Yeah, I do think he's a great buy. I do think also that it is going to be interesting to see how the minutes play out. Totally agree with Browny. I would be hopeful though, if I had the cash, I would still be buying this week because I think it could actually even benefit him if he ends up around that 70-minute mark. We've seen him before where he attacks a whole lot harder because he knows that he's got a bit of a rest, and particularly if they stage him into two sections rather than just 70 minutes all the way through and then stop him. Yeah, I just like the fact that we're starting to see him running a whole lot more freer, and then we've now got all of those awesome attacking stats starting to come through, and that has been that way for about 3-4 weeks.
Well, let's move on to holds, boys. These are kind of straightforward. Like, they're very easy to discuss. Like, first one, Karaz. Yes, the two back-to-back four scores, super concerning. He looks like he could be on a decline, rib cartilage. We know he's got the calf. We know he has shoulder. Like, he has been in the wars this year. So I'm not surprised to see that another injury is kind of starting to deplete his output a little bit. But I'd be cautious on looking at back-to-back floor scores because the 33 he scored was actually a game where he got withdrawn from the field and he was looking more closely at or towards like a 60-point score. Last week was just seriously depleted. But that said, the question becomes, if you want to trade Karaz, who the hell do you trade him to? Because there is no center replacements that have the potential scoring patterns of Herbie Farnworth and Karaz. So selling him only just introduces another risk, in my opinion. So that's why he's a hold for me. Centering fullback DPP. We know what he's capable of. Leave it at that. Do you guys have anything to add to Karaz?
I'll tell you why his scoring was shocking last week is that he played outside Bronson's Sherry, so he didn't get the ball. And Connor Tracy, I don't know what his deal is, man, but I want to slap him because every time he sweeps right, doesn't pass. Every time he sweeps left, passes. So I don't know what's ingrained in his mind, but it's like, brother, you can throw the ball right. Like you can.
But maybe that's actually the problem. He can't.
Yeah.
Maybe he just doesn't have a very good left-hand dominant pass,
Well,
and can't do it.
Well, maybe Karaz should shift back to fullback because that's when they were playing their best footy. So
Totally agree.
I don't know. I was watching the game and I was very, very, very frustrated because you could see Karaz wanted to get involved, but he was just kind of standing there, passenger, just wasn't getting the ball.
Which is mad because even when he wasn't even playing fullback, but he was playing wing, and they would give him early ball, the amount that he would actually, create that momentum of breaking tackles, offloads, all sorts of those awesome things that are great for us. But actually, in real life, it gave them so much more momentum, and they just looked so flat last weekend. So I just don't get it. I really don't get the coaching. I don't understand what they're doing.
Well, this week they got Twyla back. He was only out from illness. So that's positive signs for Karaz. And I mean, if he can't hit a decent score against the Tigers, then I've lost a lot of hope.
I think you will. The Tigers are in the worst form I think I've seen them in for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, really worse than when they were bad now. I don't know what's going on there, but they are primed for the picking.
Blue eye, bro. Blue eye's the answer. That's what's wrong.
The next hold, boys, James Tedesco. Now, I'd be an idiot to say that he was a good hold, but the reality of the scenario for me is it's no different to any other Origin player. Really, what the mistake was that we didn't isolate him at the beginning of Origin as someone that would deplete in cash over the Origin period, because historically he doesn't. But when we started seeing it, the worst thing to do was sell him, because you knew you'd only have to buy him back. The only time you would have looked to sell Teddy over the Origin period, as I think I mentioned this last week, was when he starts to deplete in cash. So you've already lost cash on him. Then you waste a trade to get rid of him. Yes, you save yourself the price fall of 100 and something K, but you then have to spend another trade to get him back. So really, coaches here have spent 2 trades and lost 40K by the time they buy back Teddy. And to be honest, Roosters are in a different scenario to a lot of the teams we've spoken about so far, but they still need drive in the run home. They need a top 4 finish. And right now, Sharks are 1 win behind them. Then they're moving out to 4th. They have a tough run home draw. It's a lot of harder games. So I think Teddy's really going to need to step up. And post-Origin form, 2 games off now with the concussion. He had only played half the Origin game. I think he'll be fresh. I think he's going to come in ready to go for the run home. But yeah, firm hold for me, not even looking at selling.
Oh, I totally agree. I think, he was by far and away New South Wales' best player in game 1. He proved enough to me that, yes, he's getting on in age, but he still has unreal ability to break open a game. And often his game, particularly when he's running really well, really does translate to fantasy points, incredibly so. So, I mean, in my position, I can't afford to sell him. But then ultimately, I think just about every team shouldn't really be looking to sell him because I do see him coming back.
It's insane. He's went from 26% to 14.9% ownership, which is crazy. So all of a sudden, he's pod.
Grand scheme of things, he's just a little bit more expensive than what Walsh is anyway. Yeah. So it's like, what are you really missing out on?
Yeah. Why would you do it?
But that just shows his scoring potential because look how far he was to how low he's come. So these 2 weeks off is just going to be beneficial for him. So he's just going to go back to his old scoring pattern anyway.
No doubt. And last hold, boys, Tallis Duncan. And I'm more of the hold position here because he could very well get edge center DPP. And in the market we have right now for center, that's a big win. So he was originally trade bait for me, but I've kind of just held out to see what happens. And I can't see a world where he doesn't get center DPP.
If he doesn't, it's an absolute farce.
Yes, Riggs.
Like he's played more than enough games at center.
I'm kind of taking a risk this week because I have to. And I'm actually looking to pivot Errol because it's just not coming. I'm banking on the fact that Duncan gets centre and then Duncan becomes my backup centre to Carraz and Herbie.
At the moment, I'd even put Duncan over Carraz.
Yeah.
Like at this point in time.
But actually, did you know the biggest change with Duncan this year is he's actually scoring well when he plays centre. You know
he's averaging 1 better at centre.
And you know, like when in previous seasons, whenever he got shifted to centre, it was like, oh, crap, there goes a 20 as opposed to a 55, 60. And now it's pretty much identical. And he's playing so well at centre that I'm wrapped.
Yeah, and here's the part that makes it even more of an upside play is Latrell returns next week and Duncan's been playing on the left side. So if Duncan stays left, we already know Aitken's the guy that's going to move back to bench. We've already seen that Tallis Duncan has starting priority. So if Tallis Duncan is playing on the edge that David Fafita couldn't really find positivity on, then all of a sudden he's running the lines David Fafita couldn't do successfully. Like Tallis Duncan could be elite for a run home. So especially if he's covering center, my God. But let's move into sells, boys, and we'll try and breeze through this one, I reckon, because they're all very, very clear.
Yep.
We'll start with Chester here. We'll go back to front. So Tommy Chester, he's kind of been a sell for a while now. Center wing fullback DPP. He floor scored last week, and I'm pretty sure he scored a try in that as well. From what I remember, I couldn't remember off the top of my head if it was taken off him or not. But scored a try, hell low. Yes, the center market is pretty dangerous at the moment with options, but as we've said there's 3 off the top of your head. You've got Latrell looming next week as a return. See you later, Chester. It's time to move him on. Great trade bait. Sharp is kind of somewhat similar in description in that we bought him round 17-ish, like around that mark in the back end of the run home with the anticipation that, well, he's moving better. He looks to be scoring better. At fullback, he scored a 2-try 50, and it was like, we expected more, but like it seems to be there. And instead, he's just tinkered again, the same areas, hasn't really moved. And as you said with Euro, Kenty, it's kind of like it's not the time of the season to be praying and hoping for a rise. No. It's more like they haven't shown me what I need. Time to get rid of him. So Sharp for me, emulates that. But do you have anything to add to either of those guys before I move on to the last one?
I mean, the fact that Chester's still owned by 33.7%.
Yeah.
Mind blowing.
Like
Yeah.
that,
But I just wonder if it's because of the centre position being so crap,
I think it could
and
be.
it's been so hard that teams are like, man, I actually just don't have very many trades, so
Yeah.
he's doing just as good as Edo and everybody else. I might as well
Yeah,
just keep him.
I
Yep.
think a lot of the reason for it too, though, is because they didn't get out of him when they needed to. So now they've been
Yeah.
forced into this long hold, where like he's considered now just the hold to fill the gap. It's like, oh, dude, you could have been on Tallis Duncan. You could have been on Carraz before he made his next rise. Like there was so many opportunities to get rid of Chester, and now it's like, who do you go to the center to replace him? Nobody. So it's like that sell that you're stuck with kind of thing. It's like people that didn't get off Sanders quick enough. Yeah. Now, the last sell, I put out an article on this. We kind of touched on it a couple of weeks now. The anticipation of what would happen to Willison when Haas and Carrigan return. I'm still on sell train because this, I won't go deep into the stats because the article on Footy Casual goes into it in great depth. But Willison averages, I think, around 50.1 at prop when Haas and Carrigan are playing. So, yes, decent enough average in the position. Granted, he gets the minutes. We know for sure the minutes he was getting at lock, he will be reduced when playing at prop. The receipts of the ball, the demand on him in defense, it won't be as high now that Carrigan and Haas are there to share the duties. So, in my opinion, you're holding Willison to see how he scores this week and then selling, or you're just selling out of him now at peak value because there's no way in the world his price rises at prop more than what it is at now. Like, I think it's a scenario of like Aaron Clark or Tarpany where you're seeing him at the peak before the fall starts. So get out now while he's got max value. But what do you guys have to add to it?
So when he's played a prop, he's played 3 games this year. He still carries a good average, so 57. So that's games at 72 minutes, 69 minutes, and 44. So in that 72-minute game, he got a 69. That's all well and good. But when he plays with Carrigan, it was the games where he played 69 minutes for 52 points and 44 minutes for 50 points. But has he ever played starting prop with Payne Haas in the side? No. So those minutes are going to dwindle. The scoring output's going to dwindle. And historically, we know he averages less at prop than what he does at lock.
The other thing too is that we all bought him either really, really early when Carrigan first went down during Origin for the Origin period. The landscape has completely changed again. So you've now got Haas and Carrigan basically back, full fitness. Yes, Jensen's out and a few other forwards, it's all a bit messy. But the reality is that still doesn't give him the role that he's had, particularly when we have seen him score those big scores. He's been sitting at lock. Clearly, that's just not going to happen. So honestly, for me, it would be like cut and run. Grab it, whatever money you've managed to make out of him. You've had some decent scores. Just run for the hills. But keep an eye on how he plays because from my perspective, I kind of hope he kind of tanks because then hopefully his price next season is super low.
Yeah, true.
Because the reality is that next year he's going to be one of their main big dogs that they're going to be calling on. With Haas, out.
Agree. I think it's a case of don't be too greedy.
Yeah.
Just get out. So captains, boys, we can kind of talk it to all of these, maybe like elongated, because again, I put in 3 here, but there's so many other ones outside that you could suggest. Now, I'm probably safe in assuming that we're all in agreement here that Nathan Cleary stands at the top of the rung. There's no 2 ways about it. And you touched on this earlier in the potty, Brownie. They're coming up against the Broncos. We know Panthers want one back. They've had their restings. They had the bye in round 19. So Cleary, Yo, Martin, they're all back on deck. The Panthers right now have a full strength side.
Full strength.
Yeah, they look elite. They look like they're coming out to put a clinic on the Broncos. And Broncos are better strength than what we've seen. But the problem is they don't have the cohesion the Panthers do. Like Adam Reynolds is in and out. Mam in and out. Walsh has kind of been a bit up and down on form, unreliable. Staggs has been injured most of the year. Ricky injured most of the year. Yep, Carrigan too. So it's just like I just don't see the Broncos with the squad that they have, even though it looks better on paper, coming out and being a better Broncos side like I can see with the Panthers. And honestly, I feel a ton coming for Cleary. So I'm like, get on that with the C.
People are going to be put off him because of this whole Thursday night curse.
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly what I was thinking too. And I'm quietly stoked, and I'm hoping
Yeah.
that people don't captain him.
It's crazy, isn't it? Fantasy's like very strategic and tough enough now to just add superstitions into the mix as well. It's like, no,
Yeah,
it's Thursday, don't captain him. Well, I'm sorry, but the two best captains in Cleary and Haas both play that week, that game, first game of the round. I don't care if it's a stuff up. At the end of the day, more than 50% of coaches will be on either one of those
yeah.
guys. So it's like just pick one. What kind of moves me to the next captain in Payne Haas? For me, he's number 2 because I think even in a loss, he's the guy that can do some damage up front.
Oh, I just think there's going to be tons of traffic coming down his way. He's going to be doing everything that he can do, both running, tackling, and offloading. I definitely think that he is possibly the best forward captain this week. I think you could throw out there Ola, you could throw out May, you could throw out Toby Couch or either Couches, but ultimately I would still say out of the forwards, Huss will be the best.
One I'm actually very, very high on after last week, and there's a big reason for it. So, Nico,
And
that 107, what they did to the Dolphins,
Yeah.
that was clinical. Like, that was Panther-esque type stuff. Putting a team to the sword and this putting the foot on the throat. Like, that's all they did.
Can they keep it up though? The first time we've seen them do it all year.
I think they can because Newcastle weren't convincing last week against the Rabbitohs, even with their late like kind of surge. There's
Yeah.
a massive difference between a Sharks side right now and a Rabbitohs side that we saw last week. The Sharks are in a lot better form, cohesion-wise as well. What they could do against Newcastle, I'm just putting it out there. Hines could be on track for another 80 plus.
if you look at the Sharks draw for the run home,
It's
I'm going to make a prediction. Sharks finish second on the ladder. They're not going to get above Panthers, but you look at their draw, it's now Newcastle, Rabbits, Dragons, Raiders, Titans, Eels, Storm. And if Storm make the 8, they're resting players. We seriously could get W's for the rest of the season. That's
the
how
easiest run home of any side.
Yeah, it is.
way easier. So, and then the other thing to Hines too, because I actually talked to a coach in the Blindside Faithful about captaining him this week. Look at the team lineups. So if you pay attention to where the Sharks score points, it's when their running game is on point because both Tricky and Nico Hines are eyes up players. Tricky takes more of the game management role when they're going on the attacking sprays, and that's where you see Nico absolutely flare. Outside him is Britton Nickera. You got Teague Wilton on the other side, but the forward pack's where this game's going to be won for me. It's Adam Fanua Blake, Brayley, Hazleton, Nickera, Wilton, McInnes. And then you look at the Knights side, they're starting Manu Leilua. They got Tyson Frizzell stepping in. They've got
Brazil.
Yeah, it's like they just don't have it there. And then you look
No.
at the rotation coming off the bench. It's not Oregon, Kafusi, Siasi Vitalakai. Like they don't have that impact. So I seriously think the way this game's going to go is the Knights will have to score points within the first 25 minutes. And if they don't, the Sharks are going to demolish them for the rest of the game. And I think Nico is spot on here, Brownie. I think like he could go huge.
Like Tricky still scored 67 and then Hines scored 107. So between the two of them, to not be 30 odd short of 200 is insane. That was the best I'd seen them work in tandem for sure. And I think what's also crazy is that Nico still had pretty much 10 points of demerits. They could go even higher.
Well, speaking of pod captains, let's move into the pod category, boys. I want to start here with Dylan Lucas. Now, he could have easily been in the buy category. We've already kind of brushed on him. He's under 10% ownership. So 7.4% ownership, I'm pretty sure, is where he's at. He's got like a 5-game average in the 80s. Like he is absolutely screaming and he doesn't look like slowing down. The round 27 buyers, we've already said there's some detracting factors to him, but you can add to your strategy the protection of knowing that you're going to get rid of him in the final round. I think Dylan Lucas is a prime play for coaches that are coming into the run home with more than 8 trades remaining because they're the coaches that will have the most likely flexibility come the later rounds.
Browny and I were talking about this when I was trying to use Browny as my cheat sheet, having not seen much last week and coming into the final game. And I was like, dude, between Olakau'atu and Lucas. And one of my concerns was that he's super try reliant. But the reality is that Browny was bang on that he actually has awesome base as well. and
Yeah.
the tries actually just tip him up to that kind of like top echelon type score. So you could say, okay, 2 tries for his 90, then a try for a 72, then a try for a 79, and a try for 71. Well, last week he got a 76, no try. His base is just incredible. Out around 27 is what really put me off. But yeah, the other thing too that was starting to put me off is that the Knights are just not quite looking like they're gelling quite the same. So I'm also wondering if Lucas was going to be someone who was going to start tailing off. And then last week he showed us he's not. So yeah, I'd back him.
Well, let's move on. I want to hear your take here, Brownie, because I was shouting out Dylan Egan. I think you were as well, Kenty, for a little bit. It's like a pod option to consider through the origin period. And I've noticed you've tossed him up this week as an option. So I'm just wondering, have you seen anything here that's kind of been like he's someone to seriously take on as an option this week?
Just his consistency, just because I put him in a tier above Jacob Preston. So 664K does have a 60 break even, but you take away that 39 in 80 minutes. He has just been super consistent. He only had one demerit from the Tigers game where he got 51 in 80 minutes. His base is just as good as kind of like a Lucas at some points. I know everyone's got a plethora of dragons, but they don't have any more buys left. So it's like they've got a clear run home. They've got an all right schedule. If you can't afford up to the likes of a Lucas or Olakawatu, you don't want to wait for the likes of Hudson Young to come down in price. You need an edge now, but you just can't afford the top tier. Egan's like just there.
His worst game was his first game back from ACL return, wasn't it? Like a 30. And ever since, he's just been soaring. He might have had one other floor game, I think.
Yeah, he got a 30. Yeah, that was his floor game, 36 coming back. And then he had a 39 against the Raiders. Yeah. But he had like 3 missed tackles and 3 errors. So you take that away, that's negative 12. Tack that on, that's 53 points. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's uncharacteristic for him to miss tackles and make errors. All right, guys, my pod, Blake Brayley. And I think we're all on this page. Like, Harry Grant is gone. You're not going to sell Grant. He come off the bench last week. That's why his score was down. He's a solid gun keeper. The idea is to own both Brayley and Grant. But Brayley's ownership right now is at 6.4%, which is insane for the best hooker in the comp. In my opinion, goes far to say is he's the best strategic pod play this week. If you've already got Grant, if you're looking for a pod play with upside, remember the reason why we like the archetype of Brayley is his defensive base is sound. He is a solid 45 to 55 in base. But when you get to round 22 to round 26 against the competition's 4 worst defensive sides, that defensive base turns into attacking upside. And did we or did we not see how much X factor Brayley has around the ruck at origin and how well he isolates markers that are out of position and takes these meters, and he gets in behind the ruck, and that's what Nicho Hines and Braden Trindle feed off, is that go forward from Brayley. I think it's not even a competition anymore. Grant is nothing compared to Brayley in terms of fantasy scoring for the run home. In terms of actual player, like I'd pick Grant every day of the week, but fantasy scoring, there's no way in the world. I reckon he'll beat Brayley at most twice, 2 games in the rest of the season.
The thing that I think, and then I'll go to you, Brownie, is I think they're going to need him to go massive for the push that the Storm are going to be having to make finals. So I do think that he is somebody that strategically and pod perspective, I think he's massive. I think anyone who ends up tossing up between the two and go Grant, I think they could actually come out doing really well.
Interesting.
I see them both very level. Now, especially that Munster's out.
Yeah.
A lot of the workload, a lot of the prominence of the attack is going to be going Grant.
And real similar to how he started the season.
Well, we saw last week, he had over 200 kick meters because Hughesy was not 100%. Munster wasn't playing. Now he's out for a while. You got Trent Talau, you got Wishart. Wishart's not going to be doing a lot of kicking. Neither's Talau. I think Grant could be pushing upwards over 200 to 250, 300 kick meters per game now. So you add that into his already stats. Yeah.
So where does his upside come from then? Like for me to see Harry Grant soar with no Munster and no Hughes is they're going to have to change the way that they attack
They're
structure.
going to be
which is
very frontal up the middle now, and
yeah,
Grant's
which is
gonna be
exactly how they started the season, if you remember.
Yeah.
And that was when he scored a lot of tries as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot more dummy half runs.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot more quick play the balls, and Grant just bursting out from the play the ball. He's just going to take it ahead himself and look for those support plays around him.
And I can see him kicking, 40-20s. I can see him.
He came on the field. His first attempt was a 40-20 straight up.
Yeah, exactly. But I can actually start seeing that becoming a relatively consistent thing.
You could even go as far to say as he could possibly outscore Brayley.
Yeah, I love this. Kenty's on the firm. I think he outscores. You're kind of both ways, slightly edging towards Grant, and I'm like, Grant's not even in the picture for me. So it's like we've got all sides of the coin. That said, though, my article on this is very clear. You need to own both for the advantage. The majority has Grant. The minority has Brayley. But if you have both, you beat everyone. So that's the idea. I'll after hearing the way you guys spoke about Grant just then, I'll watch him this week. If I see what I need to see, I'll buy him next week. Problem solved. Mids, boys, mid-range. Turbo. It kind of goes without saying now. We've mentioned him for the last few weeks. He's in the 500K bracket. The only risk is injury. Outside of that, he is a solid scorer. He's got the Titans this week. If you're in the market for a 500 to 600K winger fullback, he's the best buy, really. It's like you got Walsh, who I think is a little bit lackluster and coming up against Panthers. Turbo's just been getting better and better each week.
It's his second halves that let him down. His first halves, he comes out and has a blinder, throws 2 or 3 offloads, gets into the high 30s, low 40s kind of scoring. And then the second half, I don't know what's been happening, but Manly just tank. And so does he.
They just look tired. They honestly look quite gassed.
If Turbo put in as much effort in the second half as he does in the first half, he'd be averaging 60.
Next mid-range, boys, is one I am so high on. I've been so high on him since 350K bracket when he was in there. Britton Nickra. He's now shot up to 450K. He's hosting a 4 break even, coming off Origin. Post-Origin form is a thing. We see it in players when they return to club footy. All of a sudden, they just surge back to form. I think we've already noticed the form. So the story with Nickra is he started off the bench a lot to start the year behind Billy Burns. So this depleted his scoring. He then broke his nose and was rested a week and then came back and basically played from the bench for like 4 weeks before he got his start. Then he got selected in Origin. And this whole time, he hasn't been out of form. He was just depleted because his minutes were just not usual. So now he's back starting. Yes, Billy Burns is on the bench, which is a bit of a concern, but I would more be on the side of we might see Billy Burns like kind of play more of a roaming role, not necessarily stuck on an edge. Who knows how that'll play out? But in my opinion, Nickra against the Knights this week is probably a tougher game, but you won't see him get cheaper. And as soon as you get to round 22, as I've already said, the 4-game streak, Britton Nickra is like a 40 guy in like a 30 to 40 guy in base. He scores his fantasy points from tries, line breaks, tackle busts. He is going to surge in that 4-game match string that the Sharks have against the 4 worst defensive sides. I think if you're in the market for, say, your perfect example, Kenty, someone that doesn't have the team value to just kind of pick the guys you want and you have to take a risk in that lower range, Britton Nickra at worst is someone that's going to hit 600K. He's usually a 700K player and you're getting him at 454K with a 4 break even. He's going to be better than Preston in the run home, in my opinion. And he's 100K cheaper.
No, I'd agree. And I've been tossing up between him and Egan because, I mean, ultimately Egan still has probably another 100K or more to earn. Massive pod play. Nickra is a huge pod play as well. And the only thing that's kind of steering me closer to Nickra, their run home, is ultimately what it is. And hoping that essentially some of that attack kind of comes back toward him and that we can start seeing him kind of going back to kind of what we were seeing with Colin Matangi, sorry. You know, like when we saw, you know, it's not an injury, but as soon as we start seeing him actually running again, attacking the line, he's been amazing the last 2 seasons at that kind of cutback run that he does, that line that will often lead to tries. That's a huge part that I want to be able to see from him. and he's hoping that's what happens. The only downside from last week is I wish he had played last week, because I would have loved to have seen how he would have actually fitted into that attack and what sort of a score would he have got in a blowout. It's a
Yeah.
little bit risky in that sense that we still haven't really seen him play well. We haven't really seen him, kick on, which is why, if I can spin it, I think I will still try and bring Egan in ahead of Nikora, but my take and where I'm sitting with him.
Yeah, I think if you're comparing it to Egan's definitely safer, for sure. But his last 3-round average is a 51 for Nikora.
Yeah.
Round 14, a 69 with a try, and then 2 games off with the Origin, then a 54, no tries, no attacking stats whatsoever. And then he's now not played again until now. He's ready. You know what? I'm going to back myself here. I'm using another trade this week. I'm bringing in Nikora. That's how confident I am on him. So
Well,
there
I
we
was
go.
going to say he's got a 4 break even. If he scores a 42, he goes up 36k. If he has a blinder against the Knights and scores like a 60 with a try or a 70 with 2 tries off the back of Hines, he can go up 70k. So he'd be just over the 500k price point next week.
Goodbye, Ollie Pascoe. Hello, Britton Nikora. It's done, boys. Oh, I'm scared.
Wow, he's currently in my team right now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love him. I reckon it's a bit of Sharks bias there, but hey, fantasy's fun at the end of the day. Hey, Kenty.
More Sharks.
Apparently,
it's a nice jersey.
They tell me it's fun.
Yeah. A last mid-ranger, Noah Martin. Now, Browny, you brought him up. He scored pretty well last week in his return game.
Unreal.
He holds that role for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I can't see any reason why not. Raiders win now or you're out mentality. Yeah. They have to play their best guys out there for the longest duration as possible. So I don't see Sasangi moving back to the edge. I just see him playing out center for the rest of the year. That edge spot is locked up with Young and Martin. And Martin last week turned it on his first game back. He's had a massive rest, massive layoff with those injuries. So, yeah, he's fit and firing for the rest of the season. So I'm going to put him in this kind of same category as an Dylan Egan. It's just the only thing that detracts from him is that round 26 bye. So that's why I'll still put Egan over him, 100%. But same kind of wavelength, I guess, as a Nikora. Like, he's not as cheap. His break-even's still pretty high. But it's that scoring that we've seen this season already.
I mean, his price is 564.
Yep.
His break even's 52, and he scored a 62 last week without really feeling like he did all that much. Mostly based with a little bit of running.
Well, he scored a try. But...
Yeah, but what I'm meaning is that it wasn't like he lit the world on fire.
No.
So 52, 564. You could argue maybe he comes down ever so slightly, but you'd probably only be seeing him drop maybe 10, 15 tops, in my opinion. Most likely, he's either just going to stay at the 560 range or actually climb. So I think if you can deal with round 26 bye, he's a huge, huge purchase this week.
Let's move into the cheapies. I kind of cut out all the noise here. One player, and it's Tyron Wishart. 300k or 306-ish K. Previously, near 700k player in 2024 when Hughes won the Dally M medal. So we know what he's capable of. I think over a 4 to 6 week window, and if the Storm make the 8, which I think they're only 1 win out of, by the way, so I think it's a strong likelihood they make the 8, then there's restings. If they're secure in that 8 come the last round, they'll rest. It's no doubt they'll rest. So you could see his 4 to 6 week window extend out to like a 5 to 7 window. I think the best case scenario over 7 weeks, it is very possible that we see a 300 plus K increase in Tyron Wishart.
100%.
So you just keep his price rising, and as soon as the window shuts to be like, all right, it's kind of done for him now, he becomes a last-ditch trade bait that you can push to your final trade in the last 2 rounds to be like, bang, stuff it, balls to the wall, that's what I'm doing. And the best part of the whole plan of buying him is that you can get out of a Sharp or an Eero, put money in the bank this week. It couldn't have been better for us to have Tyron Wishart pop up right now in the run home.
He's a perfect cash out because he's going to be a player that actually isn't just going to be playing a few games. We know that his runway's long. And then the position and the role is fantastic because it's not just a random winger that maybe the play goes his way or whatever else. He's actually a legit player that is actually going to be headlining the Bears. So you can't underestimate his ability and what he brings. And I do think that he's got the opportunity now to have a whole bunch of kick meters because he's got a boot, and I can see him taking on more of the kicking than Hughes. Particularly this first week, and then you just never know. He might actually be that half that they base a lot of the structure around and let Hughes be more creative. That was kind of my take on how I think they will play, and I think he's got easily 45 minimum in him, and then I think he could go as high as 70, 80s. So as a cash out that can score that, phenomenal.
I will just say though, as a Storm fan, if we're one win out from the 8, come round 26, they will bring Munster back just for the sense of we need to win. We need our best guys out there. Yeah. Like you could still utilise Wishart to an extent, not to play him in your 17, but you can carry him as kind of like that backup dude. By chance, if Storm get a good lead on these next few games, we creep into the top 8. We've cemented ourselves at 7th or 8th, who knows? Round 26, round 27, they may opt to rest Munster. If we fall out of contention completely with a couple of losses and there's no chance of us making the 8, why bring Munster back?
Moving into avoids, boys, Ewan Aitken. Yes, he's getting the start on the edge, but Trell Mitt returns next week. Tallis Duncan returns to the edge. Aitken goes to bench. He got taken off the field last week, so his break-even's heightened. He's not the edge centre you want. The edge centre that you're hoping for is Tallis Duncan, not Ewan Aitken. So, again, another one. Do we have anything to add to either of those guys? I think they're pretty straightforward because the last one here is all centres. There is not a single centre in the game right now I'd be running out to buy, even if it was Herbie. Like right now, I'd be watching Herbie a week. If I wasn't an owner, give him a week with a 90 break even because we've seen back-to-back floors and his downward turn in form correlates exactly with when Isaiah Katoa went down. Again, it is no indication to sell, same as Carraz, but it just means like there's nothing in the market for centers, so don't be buying centers. That's the mark. Riskies though, boys. Matt Duffy. Now, I'm pretty sure you brought this one up, Browny. What's your take there on him?
It's risky in the sense that Gray's hovering around and he's not injured. This is just purely a selection pick from Bennett. I'm going to put him as like a risky buy because he was influential in their win last week. 3 try assists and always on attack when they're up the other end. So try opportunities, he's always hovering around. So involved as a fullback. I don't know how he did a stint in the Super League. He's an out-and-out NRL starting fullback. I highly rate him. He's one of the biggest effort guys I've seen, running over 300 meters for majority of his games starting at fullback this year. It's risky just in the sense that Gray's there, but I mean, the way Bennett's looking at this, I think he's starting to put a picture together that maybe Duffy is the guy to lead this Rabbitoh side into a hopeful finals berth.
Yeah, it seems weird to bring in Duffy while Gray was down, bring Gray back in, now drop Gray for Duffy for no reason, then all to just bring Gray back in and drop Duffy. Like that doesn't sound like Wayne Bennett. So I think it's risky for Duffy for sure, but it seems like a bit more this could be the way they go forward. And then Trell returning next week. Like I can't think we can, I've said it a lot of times on the show today, but I don't think we can underestimate how much the attacking upside will increase for the Rabbitohs when Trell Mitt is back in that team. The last risky, Adam Dewey. That's 3 weeks in a row now. He's just sat in this list, so I won't dwell on it. Nothing to do with his scoring, nothing to do with anything like that. Even the form of the Tigers doesn't scare me because Adam Dewey does everything. Kicks, he's part of all the focal point in attack. He's going to score you at least 55 every single week on average. It's just the shoulder. He's still, to this day, on every single game since he's returned, you can see on every collision, he tries to avoid impact with that shoulder. Every single time, even in tackles. When he falls on the ground, he won't even put his arm down on the ground to protect himself from a fall. So, like, it is one bad moment away from ending his season. That's why it's risky.
I totally agree. But I also think that the way that the team are right now, I don't think that bodes well for him and his scoring.
Yeah.
I know he does everything, but they are likely to become the potential whipping boys of the league over the next few weeks, next month. And I think all the chopping and changing and everything that's happening with Luai and everything else, I actually do feel quite concerned about the team. And that would really worry me then buying into one of their centre attacking pieces. So from my perspective, I would still see that as a massive concern with where the Tigers are at also.
We'll move into watchers, boys, and they all hold the same thing for me. Hudson Young, Jacob Preston, Alex Twal. Break evens are high. It's not that you can't buy Young, Preston, or Twal, because I think they'll all probably do all right this week. You expect a 60 from Twal, a 50 from Preston, a 60 from Young. But if you wait the week, you get to look and the prices are going to come down.
Yeah.
You'll get facts as opposed to just like, okay, like it looks like they'll do well, I'm going to buy them. And it lets you save a trade to drag out another week. So you might use a Pasco this week to get to Young. But this week, Tallis Duncan could get injured. And now it's like, well, I'll hold Pasco another week and I'll get rid of my injured player to attack this one now because I'm more sure he's the right guy. It's just, that's the only difference. So I've kind of paired them all together because I think we could all argue a case for why they're buys or watchers, but it's the break evens. Is anything to add to that, boys? Like kind of just pair them all together here.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that play. The other thing, strategically, the fact that the Eels are the team on the bye, realistically, most teams have no one on the bye.
Yeah.
Or close to it. Iongi's really the only one that potential. Oh no! Oh yeah, Browny, you've got two. Yeah, yeah. But realistically, most teams this week should be looking pretty sweet. It's going to be more like who the hell do I leave out? Is generally what will be happening. So, other than kind of must-have buys of like Haas, Wishy, you could get away with very much just kind of letting the season come back to you a little bit. You don't have to go chasing because you can pretty much field an awesome team. It was those weeks when, the amount of dragons that we own and then they were on the bye, that week was really, really hard to field a great team. Don't go chasing too hard and trying to like boost your team massively when you could probably actually just play who you got. And with these three players, you aren't going to lose much by not chasing them this week, watching them a week, see what happens, how they're playing, especially Twal. How's that working now with the team? Is he still scoring well? So on and so on. And you'll probably still score perfectly well this week without having chased one of those guys.
Now we'll move into Brownie's tipping. On the surface, some games look easy, other games look hard. I'm interested to see what way you're going this week, bro.
Starting off tomorrow night, I'm going Penrith pretty easily. Friday night, Ocean Protect Stadium. We're going Sharks over the Knights pretty easily, hey?
Yes.
Pretty easily. I'm surprised how Sharks aren't lower on the odds, paying at $1.50. Put your house on it. Roosters versus Storm. Guys, I am going to back Roosters in this. Munster and Hughes being out. I think too much to overcome against a third place Roosters side who are playing pretty well at the moment. Now, Raiders, Rabbitohs. This is the tightest game of the week. Both coming in at $1.92 odds. There's no leeway either way. No leeway. Yeah, I'm going to back the Raiders. Dominance they showed against the Bulldogs. Rabbitohs just got through the skin of their teeth against the Knights. Wires, Dragons. Go Media Stadium in Auckland. I think it's written already. Was big time.
Yes.
Gonna be there too. Gonna be there.
Bulldogs, Tigers, lads. I think this is going to be a closer one than people expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm going doggies. Look, there's a chance that Critter comes back into the side. There's a chance that Kickout comes back into the side. It's all just based on how they get through training this week. If they pass all tests and they're clear for the return, yeah, I'm going to go doggies. Titans, Seagulls. I think Seagulls need to make a claim here that they need to step up. I'm going to go Seagulls in that one. And Dolphins, Cowboys. You know what? I'm going to back an outsider here this week. But what the Cowboys did last week to hold it in the grind against Manly at home, which at 4 Pines is a struggle, I'm going to back the Cowboys in here.
Good man.
Same.
You want to know another big positive?
Yep.
Tom Deaton's nearly 100% to be
Correct.
started.
Yeah. So I'm going to back the Cowboys in. I know Dolphins get Hammer back, they get Bostock back, they get Cobbo back. So I'm going to back the outsiders. I'm going to back Cowboys in the last game of the round.
But that's it. Make sure you jump onto Footy Casual. That's probably the only thing I'll add in. We've added some more articles, Browny and I. Kenty's back from holidays, so he'll be amongst it now too. Your three favorite voices throwing out fantasy articles. It's sick. I love writing them, hey, and just seeing the viewing numbers go up and people consuming it. Like the fact that that's out here in the landscape now. We get news, Zero Tackle, and all these places just with general news. Now we have a space for NRL Fantasy angled news media.
I was bored at 2 a.m. in the morning at work this morning. So I was just like, I want a break. What do I do? And I'm like, stuff it. I'll just throw up an article about the great hooker debate.
Yeah, dude, that's sick. It's so good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good fun.
So follow Kenty's Market Move, follow Brownie's Breakdown, follow Blindside NRL. Good luck to start your run home, coaches. We'll see you on the next one. Up, baby.
Up the was.
Up the storm, please.
Yeah.